Hello, welcome. It's Neil Dugan here. We're on this series of videos around the physical brains, which forms part of the Coherence videos and also the conversations videos. So we've discussed the head brain, we've discussed the thoracic brain. We're now going to discuss the abdominal brain. This is another brain which has increasing amount of scientific research based on it. So it actually is a major area of research, within the universities and other institutions, and largely because it was found that there was extraordinarily large numbers of neurological structures in and around the small intestine in particular. But of course, as soon as that was looked at, it was observed that there was neurological structures all throughout the abdomen, and so these are a kind of a web of neurological structures, but they're all interconnected. These are thinking cells that we're talking about, so-called thinking cells, as opposed to information sharing type of cells. So the gut brain, or the abdominal brain, reaches from the breathing diaphragm all the way down to the pelvic floor. We have another brain that we work with in this coherence approach that I'm taking, based in and around the pelvic floor. But for this perspective, the neurological structures in and around the small intestine, the colon, the liver, spleen, pancreas, kidneys, and so on, all of these structures are a part of this abdominal brain. And indeed, there are neurological structures inside of all of those organs. So it's not just the small intestine at all. We find neurological structures actually in the mesenteries, which is the connecting tissues. A lot of neurological tissue spread throughout the visceral fat, so like the structures that actually support the visceral fat, which is interesting. So what we're seeing there is we're seeing these thinking structures associated with the visceral fat as well. The gut brain is connected to many of the other structures within the body via a very, very complex nervous system called the vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve reaches up and has connections in the sensory organs as well, for that matter. One of the very interesting things in the early research that was done into the activities of this gut brain was that the traffic up the vagus nerve is literally up. It's almost, it's very, very strongly in that direction. And the unmistakable conclusion that comes from that is that the processing is completed in the gut area, and then it's distributed out to these other areas which need to take notice of the information that it's finding. So the vagus nerve connection, obviously the connection between the spinal column and all of this gut activity is direct as well. So you've got the vagus nerve connection, you've got the central nervous system connection as well. And lastly, we couldn't miss out on talking about the endocrine structures within this area. So there's a lot of endocrine structures. So the liver and the pancreas are both exocrine organs, which means that they are excreting into the digestive system, but they're also endocrine systems, so they're producing hormones which are giving information all around the body. Very, very important. Also, obviously, we've got things like the adrenal glands, which are sitting adjacent to the kidneys, and these structures are enormously important to what's going on. So why am I mentioning all that? Because the reason is because these hormonal interactions relate directly to the brain activity, and the hormonal or endocrine structures, and along with these physical structures of the actual abdominal brain, are tremendously influenced by the mind level activity that goes on in the instinctive center. So the center, or the mind, which is associated with this whole abdominal area is the instinctive center, and it's the master controller of all of these hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of processes that are going on within the body. Certainly thousands or tens of thousands at any one moment are in action. So this is a real parallel processor, and it's able to manage and influence all of these activities all at once. And that's the instinctive center. That's the mind of the instinctive brain, or the gut brain. So next video is going to actually be on the pelvic brain. As I say, there's not such a clear anatomical division, but I will be as clear as I possibly can, and the functioning of these two brains is completely different. So we can easily see from a functional perspective why the division exists. Alright then, thanks very much for watching. Please do like and share, and look out for the next video. Thank you.